This is the Paracave Podcast, proudly brought to you by major sponsor Parramatta Eels Club, home of the Eels, and also home of Jack's Pale Ale.
Welcome to another episode of the Paracave Podcast. And now over to your host, Troy Warner, broadcasting live from the world-famous Paracave.
And yes, hello, welcome back to another episode of the Paracave Podcast. Troy Warner here, and I hope you have enjoyed part number 1 of the interview with Dan Finke, the American rugby league fan, American Parramatta Eels fan. Certainly enjoyed the chat with him. This is part number 2 of the interview. I hope you enjoy the rest of it. And thank you very much for listening to the first episode with Dan. It was, as I said, really interesting to get a American's feel of rugby league and also the Parramatta Eels. And look, it has had a massive reaction, listens to in the USA. So I hope that I can create some fans of the Paracave Podcast in the USA now with Dan's interview. So anyway, that's enough of me talking. Let's just get straight into the interview. This is Dan Finke, part number 2. Enjoy.
There is progress being made. You just don't see it in the results right now. But you got to hope that there's a plan. And then look at the last 10 or 15 years and the way that the board and the way the team's been run, there hasn't been a great plan, right? It seems like we're kind of always, some teams, when the other teams are really figuring out, we're kind of just throwing darts at the board, right? So, yeah. But,
you mentioned cap space there. Obviously, Dylan Brown's on the move, so that'll free up a lot of space. Who are the sort of players, as a fan, that you would like to see come to Parramatta?
So, obviously, everybody talks about Galvin, right? Galvin would be a good 6 replacement. And then everybody talks about the kid from the Storm. What's his name? Wishart?
Yep.
Tyson, what's his first name? I can't remember his first name. But he's Tyron Wishart, yeah. So guys like that are really good. But I also still think, like, the real miss for us was, like, Ethan Sanders, right? Guys like that. Like, so, and if do you just go try to find a plug-in guy that's, I know like a Jamal Fogarty, he's a 7 out of 6, but a guy that's established, but you're only going to get a couple of years out of him, and then you're back right where you started, right? So that's where if you can get one of these younger kids that you can sign up for 5 years and pay him big money and keep developing them. So I think obviously Galvin's probably the number one guy that everybody talks about, but I really am focused on, I just think we don't have any guys on we were watching the game the other day, like the Hudson Young kid for the Raiders. We don't have just anybody. Seems like we move the ball inside the 20 a lot, but we don't have anybody that can finish.
Yeah.
Right? We don't have even like Madison a few years ago, right? When he was healthy and stuff, you could give him the ball and he'd get it across the line, right? We just have, I don't know, we don't have any of those kind of guys, right? So I think that's where I just look at our team right now and say, the forward pack is just so dog shit, right? We have some young wings, we have some young centers, we got, I think we can build around the spine, but our forward pack is just, it's anemic, right? It's just there's no pop to them at all. We don't have no guns up the middle, nobody on the outside, so yeah. There's a few holes to fill there. But I don't know. You tell me. Try to ask you who's the number. Yeah, who's the guy, right? Who do we need to replace Dylan Brown?
Okay, well, I've just been sent a message in one of our other Parramatta chat groups, and it comes from Fox Sports, and it's saying that Lachlan Galvin rejects the Tigers deal to test the open market. So I don't know what that means, whether that means he might come back to Parramatta. I don't know, but or if it's just a ploy to maybe get more money out of the Tigers, or potentially go to another team. So that would probably be a what's your space sort of thing, that's for sure. But definitely Galvin would probably be an ideal replacement. He's young. He's going to get paid on potential, which he does have. It's only his second year of first grade, so once he gets more games under his belt, he'll be right. And so he's probably the guy. I think we do need also some sort of strike back rower as well. In the team. I think every quality team has a strike back rower. So like Hudson Young on the weekend, Leah Martin for the Panthers.
Yeah.
So I think we need a strike back rower, a running back rower. So there's definitely a couple of holes to fill there. Well, let's get away from that sort of chat and let's go to some more pleasant sort of chat. Let's talk about some of your favourite memories of supporting Parramatta. So what have been the high times that you've really enjoyed? What sort of moment stands out for you?
Well, obviously, the best year is obviously making the GF, right? So the game, the game before that, winning that game,
prelim final,
was the premier final, the preliminary final was wild. Like I talked to a couple of my buddies here, like we stayed up, right, and we're rinsing beers for like 8 hours to stay up for the game, and so that was. There's really not much that takes the cake other than that, right? I think that's kind of, if I think about it. There's been some other small moments, like even like the game that, like honestly, the game last week, like I've been traveling with my family around on a holiday for the last couple of weeks, and so I was watching it in a condo in Florida, and I'm, Lomax hits the kick, and I'm fist pumping in my kids, with my kids and stuff. So there's been a few of those kind of fun moments, but really, that whole run, that whole year was fun, right? Like the team was supposed to be good, but we were still really young. And I think that's probably why the last couple of years have been such a letdown too, right? But that was such a fun year. And I don't think the expectations, obviously as you get close, then the expectations ratchet up. But it just kind of almost felt like we were playing with house money. So there was just so many games that year where, you just kind of like, oh, we just won again. Here we go. We go. Right. Yeah. So, I would just kind of say that whole year.
Yeah, fair enough. That's a good one, that's for sure. What about favourite players from over the years? Who have been some of your favourite Parramatta players?
Well, RCG was always my guy.
Okay.
Like when they let him go,
because he's the big front row forward and the mustache.
Yeah, just because and the mustache. Yeah, he looks like. I mean, I haven't made it over to a game yet. I don't know. I'm still trying to maybe squeeze one in this year, but I've been planning stuff out. He just looks like the kind of dude that'd be fun to hang out with, right? You don't rock a mustache like that without being probably a good time. I really like Junior Paulo, especially go back to the that a couple years back. I mean, god dang, he just would run people over, right? You talk about having to smash both those guys, and he played really good defense too when he was really playing well. So I always liked those guys. The big guys were just fun to watch. The one guy that always never been I liked him because he was our guy, but the one guy that I always kind of rolled my eyes at was actually Gutho.
Okay.
So I think, and just because I think he's kind of a try-hard, right? And then like watching him now that he's not on our team, I guess he's like that guy when he's on your team, you love him, but when he's not on your team, you're like, God, he's a twit, just a twerp. But I didn't dislike him.
Yeah.
So those two, and then my all-time least favorite player, which will probably lean into some of the hearts of the listeners of this, Walker Blake.
Walker Blake, yeah.
Walker Blake would drive me nuts, yeah. I like Ferguson, too. Maybe just because I saw a lot of his, like, when I first started watching him, he was kind of on the downslope of his career, but, like, the first year I watched him, I'm looking up highlights of guys, right? Like, he used to make some great plays, right? He could really score. And I just thought he was kind of a funny-looking guy with his broken nose all the time and stuff. So those are a couple of guys that stick out. And then obviously like current, obviously everybody likes Moses, right? I've always thought he was really fun to watch. He makes some unbelievable plays. And then Riley Smith. I think he's going to be my new favorite. Yeah. I like Reed too. I did like Reed, even though, I know Reed's another one of those guys when he's not on your team, nobody you don't like him, but you got to have a couple guys like that, right? That are just they got a little bit of a pit bull in them, right?
Yeah.
So those would be a few off the top of my head.
Riley Smith is fast becoming a fan favourite at the Eels. That is for sure. The iconic blue headgear, the teal blue headgear that he wears, which actually got ripped off during the game by Tom Starling, and I think he gave up on it.
So is that a thing, right? I was wondering, for all the stuff they call penalties and they give, I was surprised that they didn't do anything about that. But I guess that's just part of it.
I guess it just happened so fast that it probably just nobody saw it, and it just happened that fast, and it was gone. I mean, sometimes it's like the old. There has been, I think James Maloney's done it. I think he's thrown an opposition player's boot into the crowd or something, and stuff like that. And
there you go.
So yeah, I think it just happened so fast. But Riley gave up on the headgear after that.
I mean, he was chopping his arm too, so I get it, right? I could see why he was like, why Starling was like, what the hell? But yeah, no. So I like him, man. He's got some potential, right? We got a couple other young kids too that got some upside, but yeah, there's a few holes though for sure.
Yeah, no, that's it. Well, you're wearing the 2025 Eels polo there, the royal blue one there. What about other Parramatta Eels merchandise? What else do you have over there in the US that you have?
So I've got it. What year? I think it's 97. It's one of the old Asics ones.
Okay.
I've got.
Yeah.
I got one of those jerseys. I think it's Chris will lose his mind because I don't know because he's got like thousands of them. So I've got that one. I've got an old Blues one. 2002, I think it was. Okay. One of the years it was a big year for them. I found it on eBay.
Yeah.
And then I got a couple of T-shirts. I got this year's gold jersey, the new one. I got to get the Hardy. I had to get the Hardy one, right? So I hadn't got one the last couple of years. So I got a new jersey this year. Got this, couple T-shirts. I have a Northern Eagles jersey as well. I always like to call that one out because I know that's a sore spot for a lot of rugby league fans. That one was a throw-in when I bought one of my this other pair of jersey. The guy was like, hey, do you want this one too? And I was like, I didn't know what it was at the time. So then I called Rick and I was like, so I got this one, like the Northern Eagles. He's like, oh, Jesus. He's like, everybody hates the Northern Eagle. So I got the story, but I do have one. So everyone wants one.
Okay, well, that might be a collector's item. You might have to hang on to that.
I thought about wearing it to Vegas one year. I figured because if I wanted everybody to talk shit to me, I'd just wear that jersey. Yeah. Right? Everybody will. So I thought about it.
Well, those sort of jerseys come out at like Magic Round over here in Australia. All the old jerseys come out.
Okay. Yeah, that's on my bucket list. So is that the one? So I've been trying to plan my trip. It's my first trip over. I'm going to do like a 2-week, catch a regular round of games. And then do I do Origin week or do I do Magic round and do 2 weeks so I catch, so I catch a game at Combank, right? I want to catch a home game, obviously. Okay. And then catch, that's what I'm thinking. What would your advice be?
Oh, look, my advice will be, if you can, definitely get up to Magic round. It's just a celebration of rugby league. Yeah. As I said, you see all the old jerseys, and look, everyone's pretty high spirited up there. There's no real, hate up there, even though there's opposition teams playing. Caxton Street, just up the road, it goes off. I hear all about the Queensland people. That's all they talk about. Oh, Caxton Street. It goes off during Magic Round. It's like it's just a great atmosphere. It's colourful and fun to be around, and fans talk to other fans, and you meet new people as well, new friends as well. And if you can do Magic Round, do that one. I mean, being a Parramatta fan, you got to get yourself to Combank Stadium, so as well for a game. It just depends on when you're thinking of coming and the draw, I guess. So Magic Round is usually it's usually like the first weekend of May or second weekend of May. Generally around the round 9, 10, 11 stage. So I'm pretty sure this year, I think Magic Round, Parramatta play the Sharks on the Friday. Yep. And then I think the next round they play the Dolphins on Thursday at Combank. So if you have something like that, then you can probably plan it something like that. So obviously that would be
Magic Round seems great.
Yeah, obviously that would be one of the, I guess, dreams for yourself to come out to Australia to watch a game.
Oh yeah, so we were going to go to Ireland. So I went to college. I went to school here I went to Kansas State University. It's a big state school, right? Big football school. We were going to go to Ireland this fall to go see them play. They're playing in Ireland for some reason, right? Don't get me started there. Why? But we were like, let's go there. So we're actually pushing that trip potentially because I was like, hey, I might try to squeeze in this trip to Australia, or we're going to go next year and do this. So I've already I got her on board, though. We're going to do 2 weeks, right? So we can do plenty of other fun stuff and see the sights and do all that. I've been leaning Magic round, like you said, just because I can also go get a bunch of games in one place, right? She'll probably lose her mind for 3 days because we're going to go back to back to back, right? But there's no other, everybody's there, to your point. And I figured, like, Vegas is probably a mini version of that, but
Yeah.
everybody talks to each other and gives each other a little stuff, the different teams, but it's all friendly banter. It's a really good time. Like, I can only imagine it'd be, like you were saying, everybody's up there cheering for their team, but it's just one big party, right?
Well, no, November, stay tuned because that's, I think, when the draw comes out for 2026. So
Yes, sir.
you'll be able to plan for 2026 in November.
I'll make sure you know well ahead of time, my friend. That's for sure.
It'd be great to catch up.
Yeah.
You mentioned the Hardy sponsorship there. Have you gone back and watched the glory days and those grand finals that Parramatta won?
Yeah, so I've done a little bit, right? I know a little bit, I can't go deep into it, right? But like Sterlo, Ray Price, Brett Kenny, right? Like seeing all the big stuff, right? And when people are talking about things like Immortals, right? So you kind of dig in a little bit more. So definitely, so not deep, right? Seeing a lot of the highlights and hear people like yourself when they reminisce about the glory days, right? And when all of us were pretty little, right? Or not even born yet, but so yeah, not a ton, but yeah, I've seen some of the highlights and like Brett Kenny, man, he was a wild man, right? Gosh, he could fly, right? So yeah, so just at the surface though, not much past that, yeah.
Geez, what a player Brett Kenny was! Imagine if he was.
We need him.
Yeah, get him to lace the boots up on again. Get the 1980s version into the 2025 team. That'd be awesome. That's for sure. But
yeah.
No. It was a glory time then. That's for sure. What about when you do see the draw come out? Who is your rivalry team? Obviously, being a Parramatta fan, probably the Bulldogs, maybe Manly as well. But for yourself, what is that? A Parramatta fan, what is that one game that you love to watch?
Sure. So it's changed. When I first started, it was Roosters, right? Because I think of the Roosters, like when I first started watching NRL, the Roosters is like the New York Yankees, right? They're that team. Like, they get all the players, they break, they got all the money. So initially, I didn't like the Roosters just because it was like they were kind of like the big bad guy, right? Or nobody liked the Roosters. But after I started watching and going to a couple games, watching more of the games, kind of understanding who we didn't like, I started going, Manly was where I kind of leaned. And then what sunk it in was Manly was in Vegas last year.
Okay.
And so actually their fans have some good stories. Some of their fans were actually hilarious and really good. They were good dudes. But because I met them in person, was able to, we talked quite, anytime anybody in a Manly jersey walked by, it was immediately, you know what, Manly, right? Or something to that effect. So since I've met them, right, and we kind of that's the one, like, I feel like I have the most connection to. And then the Dogs. Okay. And now the Dragons. Okay. I don't like the Dragons for some reason. But yeah, no, so I would say Manly for sure, number one. And just I wasn't around for like the Dogs and Parramatta, and the Eels having the big, maybe that'll change. I know there's a lot of history there. But yeah, personally, just Manly would be the one. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, that is a bit of a fierce rivalry. Obviously, Parramatta beating them in the two grand finals, 82, 83. But yeah, it's always an intense one. More so now these days, it is the Bulldogs that have become the big rivals. I mean, it's always been the Bulldogs ever since those 80s times, and sort of, I guess you could say, would have went on a little bit of a lull maybe, but then certainly has pumped it up in the last few years. For myself, I'm a Para fan living in Penrith, so
Panthers.
Panthers is well, I guess you could say that's a bit of a rivalry as well.
Right.
Back in the 80s, it used to be Parramatta the big brother, Penrith the little brother. Now it's definitely flipped over. So yeah, my favourite game of the year is Parramatta and Penrith in Penrith, but that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen for 2 years because they're now playing out at Parramatta. So
got the comp bank, right?
That's right.
That's right.
So,
what are the old grounds like I hear a lot. They talk about the ovals and this and that. Are they all? That's another thing? Are those up? Are those? Do they live up to the hype? Like if I'm going back catching a game at the suburban grounds, is that as good as they say it is, right? Or
Oh,
is
look,
unique?
I think you have to go to the right suburban ground. I think.
Sure.
I mean, yeah, definitely Leichhardt on a Sunday afternoon. The sun's shining, big crowd. Depends on who's playing. The Tigers, I guess. That would
Sure.
be an experience. Um, even Manly, Brookvale Oval,
Brookville, right?
as
Yeah.
well. That'd be an experience. They get some pretty big crowds there. I'm not a big fan of Shark Park, to be honest, because it's usually cold and windy, and
Okay.
it's a
Yeah.
smallish ground in
Okay.
terms of crowd capacity. Campbelltown, I haven't been there in probably 20 years.
A lot of controversy with that lately too, huh? About what they're
Yeah,
gonna
there's
do.
talk about
Yeah.
them, or the Tigers wanting redevelopment well, not
Hmm.
redevelopment, but upgrading, and otherwise they're not going to play there. Just trying to think what other. I've never been to Belmore Oval.
Yeah, they say Belmore. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the one they talk about. But that one's changed a lot, though, right? Like the kind of that whole what it was compared to what it is now. It's a little different. Or at least that's what I've heard.
a little bit different. I've never been there, so
Yeah, sure.
that'd be good to get to. Wind Stadium in Wollongong, that can be a good one. That's generally a bit cold, being right on the water as well.
On what? Yeah, windy.
Of a
Yeah.
night, so you'd have to get to a day game there. But
Yeah.
look, there is a few out there that you should experience. That's for sure.
Yeah, good to know. Good to know. Okay, okay. Yeah, I hear. I mean, they talk about whenever they're playing at those, those stadiums. They seem to pump them up or whatever a little bit.
Yeah, they do. And there has also been talk about some people thinking, well, maybe there should just be three major stadiums. So you got your Allianz, Homebush, and Combank, but a bit like the AFL do it down in Melbourne. They sort of have three or four major grounds out of there that three or four teams play out of. Each and every week. Not that I know much about AFL, so
I couldn't tell you anything about AFL. I think
don't
I've
worry
watched
about it.
a few times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nah.
Their shirts look weird. I don't even like the shirts. So
Nah, that don't worry about it. Rugby league people don't talk about them.
Yeah.
We'll wrap things up with. Oh, look, we could probably talk for ages. I mean, I find it really interesting. Talking
Do it
to
again,
someone
man. I'd love to do it again.
yeah,
Anytime, man.
yeah, no, for sure.
For sure.
I love
Yeah.
talking to people from the other side of the world about the game that we both love.
Me too.
It's
Yeah.
getting some interesting things here. So we'll wrap things up with a set of six. Bit of personality sort of questions
Sure.
that I ask the players. Favorite sport outside of rugby league?
Baseball.
Okay, yeah.
Baseball. Grew up playing baseball. Played it all through school and stuff. Baseball. Yep.
Nice. Okay, I can't. Yeah, I usually ask if you were a first grade rugby league player. If you weren't a rugby league player, what career path would you have gone down? What's the one thing?
Rock star. That'd be my other answer.
Yeah. Okay. Rock star. You want to be a rock star?
Right. Come on now. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Lead singer, guitar player.
Oh yeah, I want all the attention. Put it all on me. That's right. Come on, all the girls, everything. Right? Come on. If you're not a star athlete, I think being a rock star would be the next. I mean, that'd be the next best thing, right? So
Yeah, definitely. What would be one unique thing? Well, probably people won't know much about yourself anyway, but what's one unique thing that people do not know about Dan Finke?
Here, I own a farm.
Okay.
In Kansas. I have a farm. I mean, you probably wouldn't think that. I don't live on a farm. I live in the suburbs in a house in the neighborhood. But yeah, when I'm not doing this, I didn't grow up on a farm or anything. I grew up in a city, but I own a farm now. I have a small farm, and that's what I do inside. So I take my kids out there and we go fishing and got cows and all that good stuff.
Okay.
So maybe that's. I don't know how many farmers you have on your podcast, but
Oh, nah, probably a few from Queensland, I guess, but
Yeah,
not a
probably.
lot. But nah, that's good. That's good. Okay, which three Parramatta players do you think you wouldn't want to be on a deserted island with?
Would not or would?
Would not.
Ooh, for sure not. Well, current or former?
Oh, you can do former as well if
Okay,
you like.
for sure, Gutho. He would be he would. I don't. Gutho would drive me nuts. He'd be doing something. He'd be pumping his chest or doing something about. I just wouldn't want Gutho there. So no Gutho. No Sean Lane. No Sean Lane. Other than he might be able to grab some out of a tree for me. So he
Well,
might have
yeah,
some
true.
utility.
Have that high
But he
advantage.
probably would sit there and give up before he could even get to the thing. So no Sean Lane. And third one, gosh, that's a tough one. There's a few of them on the list. I'm trying to think back here a couple of years to give you like a good name drop. We'll go current just because I've been Katonga is the one
Okay.
lately. I know everybody said he had a good game this week compared to the other forwards, but if you ask the buddies that I text all the time, it seems like every time he has the ball, he throws it out of bounds. So I don't feel like I would want to be around him either. So maybe those three. He probably is the nicest guy on the team now, so I'm probably a jerk for saying that, but I'll go with that
Well,
for now.
he is Fijian, so he might be used to the island life. So he might be handy to have around. But
I didn't think about that. That is a good point. I did not think about that. I didn't want to pick anybody too big, or you don't want anybody really big with you, right? They're going to eat all the food.
well,
So
that's a common answer. Yeah.
yeah. So
Okay, you're hosting a dinner party. What is your specialty meal that you're going to cook for 3 guests?
Ooh. So I like to go fishing. I would cook a fish called walleye. Have you ever
Okay.
heard of walleye?
No.
It's a fish in lakes here in the States. It's like so I would do a blackened walleye, and then I'd cook like Brussels sprouts, maybe some sweet potatoes, and then like a homemade pecan pie. So I got to put my farm. I have pecan trees. It's a kind of nut, pecans or
Yeah.
pecans. I don't know what you call them in Australia. So I'd have my wife make one of her homemade pecan pies. That's probably what I do. But I definitely would do the walleye. That's like
Okay.
where I'm from specifically. That's
That's
kind of like the best fish that you could get. It's nowhere near an ocean, right? We're in the middle, dead smack in the middle of the country. So that's what I'd make you. I'd make you a walleye dinner, blackened walleye dinner.
Okay, nice.
I got a few buddies that back me up that it'd be pretty good too.
All right.
So
All right. Well,
yeah.
you got to stick to what
You-
you know and what your favourite is. So that's for sure. Now,
Yeah.
which 3 people that you haven't met? Let's say Parramatta people, I guess. Players, coaches, even if you want to. Which 3 people would you like to invite to that dinner party?
Who? Brett Kenny from the old days. I don't know. You tell me. I think of the old guys I've seen interview them. He'd probably be the best one to have at the dinner party. So I'd do Brett Kenny. This would be a different one. I'll do Brad Arthur.
Okay. Yeah.
Because then I think different perspective, right? Guy that just got fired. I'd have some questions for him. Not to rip him, but I think he'd be a good perspective, right? I think he'd be able to tell you the goods and the bads. So Brad Arthur, Brett Kenny, and then to liven the party up, and because we might, who knows what we're going to do after? The Fox. We'll bring the Fox with, too. Because who knows what he's going to do. We might get arrested after, but, we'll have a good time. So
No,
we'll go with those 3.
He's all good now.
He's a new man.
Yeah,
Him
that's
and Latrell
right.
they're new men,
that's
right?
it.
It's right. And Ezra Mam. They're all new men now.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's in the past now. So he would certainly bring in the energy. That is for sure.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned that you wanted to be a rock star. So who is your favorite musician or band to listen to?
All right, so this is a random one. People look it up if they're actually listening still. Wolfpeck. It's spelled Vulfpeck. One word. It sounds like wolf pack, but it's pronounced Wolfpeck, like you're saying it like a German.
Yep.
It's kind of like I don't know how to explain them. Look them up. They're a good band from the States. They're like bluesy, soulful kind of music. Just different band, but that's my favorite band, unequivocally.
Yeah.
Yep.
What's their best song, or what's your favorite song of theirs?
the best song, or the kind of the main song, if you want to hear, just want to give you a flavor. The name of the song is 1612. Just the numbers 1612. Just those 4 numbers. Just that one. Pull that one up on Spotify or whatever music app and look that one up. That'll give you a flavor. Well, for sure.
After this, I'll have a look, have a listen.
Family safe, kids safe, good stuff. I've been brought. Yeah, they're good. Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, good stuff for sure.
What about an Aussie band? Who would be your favorite Aussie band?
Well, so I mean, so back in the day, it'd be we'll go AC/DC, right? As a kid in the '90s, right? I went to an AC/DC concert when I was 17, right? Like at a big stadium in the States. It was awesome, right? Angus Young, like running miles up and down the ramps on the stage, right? Unbelievable. But then I went to Vegas last year. I don't even know if he's an Aussie singer, but the song Horses, everybody sings at all the games. Yeah. So that's now my all-time. I don't even know if that's an Australian singer. It's like Steve, whatever.
Daryl Braithwaite.
Whatever his name is. So when we were at Vegas last year, right? And they do first they do the Neil Diamond, and everybody's doing the Neil Diamond, right? Yeah, Sweet Caroline, right? And then they had some DJ, and this is either at halftime or between games, right? So they're trying to keep everybody kind of pumped up, and this guy's playing music, and then they play Horses. And I'm telling you, every person in the stadium gets up and just starts singing it. And I'm like, I don't know the words of the song. What the hell? I got to learn this song. So of course I looked it up. So I was ready this year when they played it for sure, baby. Everybody was so I don't, yeah. So that's now my official. That's like if I had to give one song, if I'm going to a game. Like if I go to a game, they don't play that, I'm at a game next year. And I asked Rick, I was like, Chris, do they play these at every game? He's like, not every game, but it's kind of one of those Australian anthem kind of songs or whatever, that gets everybody fired up. But I was like, God, it was the best. That was probably the highlight of the first year of Vegas over the games was Horses. The whole stadium. It was the loudest the stadium was the whole night. I swear to God.
Look, it certainly is a crowd lifter, and it's a great song. It's one of my favorites as well. But
it's great. Brings the whole crowd. It brings us all together, baby. That's right.
Definitely. Very smart by Daryl Braithwaite, because every spring carnival here in Australia, horse racing, it's played numerous times throughout that period, especially Melbourne Cup Day. So.
Okay, makes sense. That makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. So, very smart man, Daryl.
Daryl Braithwaite. Daryl. I don't know why I thought Steve. I remembered his last name, but yeah. All right. Sorry, Daryl. I apologize. Right.
That's it. Aussie legend, Daryl. Well, Dan Fink, thank you very much for joining me on the Parrot Cave podcast today. As I said, it's been interesting to get an American's perspective on rugby league, and especially the Parramatta Eels. I'm not 100% sure if the Eels do a international membership, so that might be something I can
find that out.
Yeah, I'll look into that for you, and you could become a Parramatta Eels international member, and they'll send you over 100%. Some more stuff. So I'll find that out for you. But yeah, I could chat for hours. So we might definitely do a part 2 later on down the track. But
That's right.
Talk rugby league. And if I ever get over to Vegas for Parramatta, we'll definitely catch up. And when you decide to come over to Australia, we'll definitely catch up as well.
Yeah, no, thanks so much. It's fun. I like I said, I'm not bullshitting. I've listened to you since I started. You're like one of the first people I stumbled upon back in the day when I started getting into this. So it's pretty fun to be sitting here chatting with you. It's a good time. Thanks so much for inviting me, Troy. Let's do it again for sure, and let's get you over to Vegas for sure. Show you how we do it over here. It'll be fun.
Awesome, man. I really appreciate the support as well.
All right, brother. Thanks, man. Talk to you later.
How you going, mate? Are you a Parrot Cave podcast listener?
I am, bro. Okay. It's a great podcast. Everyone tune in.
Go Parrot.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Parrot Cave Podcast. See you next time.